So let's start today's session. So the last class we discussed about user profile, and regarding user profile, we talk about three categories: local, roaming, mandatory. And we have gone through each and every profile, like what is local, what is roaming, what is mandatory profile, how to create, and how to configure. So that was one of the interesting topic for MCSE. So in today's session, we try to discuss one more topic for MCSE. So that is called a group. Okay. So basically, group is very simple class. Okay. So in today's session, we try to see what is group, how to create, and how to manage, and how to add a user in a group, as well as what is the use of group, how to create. So before we understand what is group and how to create and how to manage, okay. So we'll try to discuss some of the basic differences. So first of all, we'll try to see what is hard disk. So as we know, hard disk, we call it is a storage device. It's a secondary storage, or you can say the permanent storage, where you can keep all your data. Data may be operating system, data may be application, data may be your personal data, it may be company data. So whenever we start using computer, one of the component we need to use, we call it as hard disk. So hard disk, it is one of the mandatory component. Without this, now we cannot able to use a computer. Okay. Why? Because whatever the data that you store on a machine, so the data actually stored on partition, and these partitions we actually create on hard disk. So let's say today I go market and I purchase one hard disk. Okay. Hard disk maybe like 500 GB hard disk, it may be 80 GB hard disk, it may be a 40 GB hard disk. Doesn't matter whatever the size you have in a market, you can purchase, and we'll be connecting hard disk on a computer. Okay. So these hard disks plays a very, very important role. So let's say today I go market, I purchase a 500 GB hard disk. So when you connect a 500 GB hard disk, maybe 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, doesn't matter what you have. So when you connect a hard disk, so we start creating some partition. So either you can say partition, you can say drive, you can say volume. So there will be multiple names. Okay. So here what we can do. So either you can make 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. That is depends on your requirement. Okay. So whenever you create a partition, maybe like C partition, it may be a D partition, it may be like E partition. So whatever partitions we create, so each and every partition will be going to format, and this formatting will be do with the help of some file system. Okay. So basically we have many categories in the file system. So in today's session, first of all, we try to understand some differences. There will be some file system. So one of the file system we have FAT32. We also have a file system, NTFS, and we also have one of the category, REFS. Okay. So we have multiple categories in a file system. Okay. So the file system we have in a market is REFS. Okay. But still 100% these people use NTFS. So before NTFS, again, there was a file system. We call it as FAT32. Okay. So first of all, here we try to understand like what is a drawback of FAT. In today's, whenever you make a partition, whenever you format, so why actually we go with the NTFS? Why not we use FAT, or why not we use any other file system? Okay. So first of all, let us understand like what are the differences between this file system. So even though we have a lot of categories in file system, okay. Now first let us understand FAT. And to understand fast, I'm giving example here. Let's say I go market, I purchase 80 GB hard disk. Okay. Even I know today we don't have 80 GB hard disk in the market, but to understand like the old technology, we need to go before certain years back. Okay. So I purchased 80 GB hard disk, and on the top of any hard disk, what actually we do, we make first partition. So the first partition we call as C drive, where you have operating system, where you install your Windows or where you install your any operating system, maybe Linux, anything. Okay. So when I start using computer, so first I'm going to have a the partition, where in that partition I'm going to install the operating system. Okay. So my question here is like, if you start using machine and if you make a first partition, so on the top of C drive, how much size I can give it maximum? So can I give complete 80 GB, or I have to give 40, or I have to give like 30 GB? I have to give a 20. So whenever if you purchase hard disk and if you have any size, let's say maybe 80 GB when you connect, if I'm making a first partition that is called C drive, and if I'm formatting this partition by FAT32, so how much it is going to support? So maximum it is going to support a 32 GB of space. Okay. So it doesn't matter whatever hard disk size you have, you cannot give complete hard disk size to the C partition. Okay. Not only C, in FAT32, whenever you make any partition, maximum it is going to support 32 GB. And this is I'm not only showing as a theoretical part, practically also I'm going to show you. Okay. So that means 80 GB hard disk is there, but I cannot keep complete 80 GB to first partition. Okay. So in this case, what I have to do, I have to create another partition, then I'll be give again 32. Again, I create another partition, then I will be giving the remaining list. That means at least 3 partition I have to create in order to use your 80 GB hard disk. And this 80 GB hard disk, if I'm using in FAT technology, so it supports maximum up to like 32 GB. Okay. So this is it was the first drawback of FAT, like why we are not using FAT in today's time. Okay. So instead of FAT, now let's say I want to format my computer by NTFS. Okay. So how much NTFS it is going to support for one partition? Okay. So how much NTFS support? So when you talk about like NTFS, so I go market, I purchase 500 GB. So NTFS is one of the technology, like when you make a first partition here, we call it as C. This is your operating system. So here, how much we can give? Okay. So if you want, you can give complete 500. There is no issue. There is no condition like FAT. Okay. So minimum 1 MB of partition you can create. And here, whatever the size you have right now, 500, you can give 500. So instead of 500, let's say if you have 1 terabyte, okay. So even 1 terabyte also you can give direct. So instead of making multiple, you can give complete 1 terabyte of size to C drive. That is also possible. Okay. See, I'm not saying you have to create only one. You can make many, but at least you can make one partition also by 1 TB. Similarly, if you have 2 terabytes, so that 2 terabyte also support. Now from the market, even if you purchase 4 terabytes, so the 4 terabyte hard disk space is even supported by NTFS. So how much NTFS support? So when NTFS came to the market, NTFS is not totally new in a market. NTFS stands for New Technology File System. The name is New Technology, but the technology doesn't mean like it came last year, before 5 years, before 10 years, already came. So this technology actually came in the year 2000. So before 2000, when you use computer, in that time we have FAT technology, and FAT, like if I go before 2000, so even there was no terabytes of hard disk. So we just imagine in that time. So in that time, maybe you have 20 GB hard disk, 10 GB hard disk, not even 40 GB also. Okay. So slowly, we have a lot of technology in the market, and the size of hard disk increased very fast. Okay. So when Microsoft introduced these file systems, in that time there was a article. It supports maximum up to 2 terabytes. When before 20 years before, I'm saying, not today. Okay. So after some time, when we have a lot of technology in the market, what happened today? In today's time, if I'm using NTFS, how much it is going to support? It is going to support 256 terabytes for one partition. Okay. And for me, this is only a theoretical part. If you say, okay, show me practical, means I cannot show you the practical here. Okay. Why? Because I also learned somewhere. So one partition, you can give complete 256 terabytes. Okay. And right now in a market, what is the maximum size hard disk available? I'll show you. Okay. But because today we have a lot of leaders we have in a market, you can go direct. We have Flipkart. If I write hard disk, it will try to show you a lot of categories. Okay. See, all these things are out of stock. Why? Because right now we are in lockdown. We cannot purchase anything. So temporary, the service is disabled. So here directly I'll show you. So I have seen hard disk here where you can have 24 terabyte also. So there is a hard disk. I'm not saying we are not purchasing. See, so I also have hard disk in the market, 24 terabyte. Okay, it may be external, it may be internal. See, the meaning of hard disk means either maybe I'll connect externally or maybe I'll connect internally. So anyhow, we need to make a partition. So maybe you make one partition, maybe you make multiple partitions. So if I'm connecting 24 terabyte of hard disk, and hard disk basically we use to store the data. So in this time, now I'm connecting like 24 terabytes. So how many partitions you create? So can I make one partition, two partitions, three partitions? So that is depends on your requirement. Okay. So if I'm using my hard disk by NTFS, even if you want complete 24 terabyte, you can give to one partition. That is possible. Okay. Because the file system is going to support maximum up to 256 terabytes. So how I'm saying this one? Okay. So after NTFS, one more technology came to market. Okay. So first we have FAT. In FAT we have many categories: FAT 10, FAT FAT 16. We also have FAT 32. Then we have NTFS. So after NTFS, one more technology came to the market. We call it as REFS. Okay. So imagine if NTFS supports 256 terabytes, then what about REFS? Okay. So REFS is one of the new technology that recently came to the market. It is going to support up to like 4.7 zettabyte. Okay. So what is zettabyte? So let's see like what is zettabyte. First we have bits. Okay. 8 bits, 1 byte. Okay. So this we already learned in our school. So we are going to refresh ourselves. So first we have 8 bits, 1 byte. So 1000 bytes, kilobyte. 1000 kilobytes, megabyte. 1000 megabytes, gigabyte. 1000 gigabytes, terabyte. 1000 terabytes, petabyte. 1000 petabytes, exabyte. 1000 exabyte, we have zettabyte. 1000 zettabyte, we also have yottabyte. 1000 yottabyte, we have zenotabyte. 1000 zenotabyte, we have shinotabyte. Then there is another name, I don't remember, but starting from something from D. Okay, and I'm going to show you this. Okay, so that means, so And this is already introduced by some of the scientists. So, I don't know who introduced all these things, but this is the procedure. Okay. So right now, the technology that we use in our hard disk, still we are in terabyte. Okay. But a coming file system, it is going to support up to like zettabyte. Why? Because the technology is moving very fast. Okay. So previously, if I say like I have 1 terabyte, so it was like I'm one of the valuable person in the market. Okay. So even today, if you purchase any computer default, we are getting 1 terabyte of hard disk. So 1 terabyte is nothing but like it's freely available. Okay. So even 2 terabytes, some people have 4 terabytes, some people, have different size of the hard disk. Even in market, as I told you, we also have 24 terabyte of hard disk. Okay. So the reason why I'm showing all these things, okay. So we need to understand in terms of company point of level. Okay. We are not going to understand in our personal machine level. So let's talk about like, how we can understand. If you talk about like Gmail, if you create account in Gmail, we directly, we have a drive. We call it as Google Drive. Okay. So what is the size of Google Drive? So the size of Google Drive will be getting 15 GB. So is it free or we are paying something? So this is a free. Okay. So whoever create account in Gmail, by default, I'll be getting 15 GB space from my Google. And you can keep any data, maybe your personal data, maybe your company data, whatever you want, you can keep it. It's free. And wherever you log in, you can able to access your data. That is one of the main advantages for a Google Drive. Okay. So that means, suppose if I'm a person, if I create 10, 20 accounts, so for me, Google will give you like maybe like 150 to 200 GB. Okay. So think how many people use Gmail in world and how these people, they are giving space to this particular, the customers or user in a market. How much space they have. So don't think about only like 1, 2 email ID. How many email ID we have in Gmail? In entire world, I don't think like there is nobody without Gmail. If I'm okay, if anybody using smartphone, compulsory they know about the Gmail. Yeah. Okay. So understand my point. So think how much storage they have. Don't think about a personal computer. Okay. So and whatever the space they are giving, it's not like you cannot keep. It's not just dummy. It's not a show put up space. Even you can also keep a lot of data, and that information you can access from anywhere. So how much, like how many people use Gmail and how much size these people they have. Okay. So this is like just one example. Even like if you talk about Microsoft, they also have OneDrive. And think today we have a cloud. So how much we have such a big data center where we have a lot of space on your hard disk. Okay. So here we need to understand we have some technology called SAN. On the top of SAN, we try to create a storage in terms of some RAID configuration, RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. So in that time, we will be understanding some kind of hard disk space concept. Okay. So personal machine, maybe we use one hard disk and we install operating system. We install all the data. We start using your machine. Okay, that is a personal device. But in terms of server, you can have multiple hard disks. Maybe I have 10 to 20 hard disks. I can have 3 hard disks. I can have 5 hard disks. Maybe I have multiple hard disks. So in that time, so by using multiple hard disks, I can make one partition. I can have very big partition size. Okay. So in that situation, we need to think about like the storage. So NTFS, it is going to support, and see today maximum we are using 100% NTFS only. But coming technology, it is going to support up to like REFS, which is going to support in terms of zettabyte also. Okay, still is coming. I don't say here we have zettabyte of hard disk. Still we don't have in a market. So maybe in future you will see that. So so let's talk about like what is zettabyte. So REFS came to the market in the year 2012. It already came, but the company start using. So still maximum will be using like NTFS. But even we need to talk about like REFS. So REFS stands for Religion File System. Okay. So NTFS versus REFS. Mm. So there is a chart actually where it clearly say like how much NTFS support for maximum size. So there was a file which I read already. So anyhow, we'll see this, no problem. What is zettabyte? So we have first bits. So 8 bits, we have 1 byte. Then we have kilobyte. After kilobyte, the next technology we have megabyte. After megabyte, gigabyte. Then we have terabyte. After terabyte, we have petabyte. We also have exabyte. So in our computer, we have a value up to exabyte. And to see, if you want to see this value, we can go the properties of computer, and we can go the properties. Okay. Somewhere here it shows. See? So we have maximum, it will show you the size up to like. So we have terabyte, we have petabyte, and we also have exabyte. So maximum, our machine right now it is going to support up to exabyte space. So after exabyte, the next technology we have zettabyte. After zettabyte, we have yottabyte, then zenottabyte, then shinottabyte. Then we also have this name. So somewhat big name. I don't remember all the time. So the thing which we need to understand here, so we have multiple categories in file system. So FAT, it was the old technology that supports maximum up to like 32 GB. And after FAT, we have a next technology, NTFS. And after NTFS, the next technology we have in the market, REFS. So doesn't matter if you want, you can use your machine by FAT or NTFS or REFS. So in today's time, we use 100% only NTFS. So why actually prefer NTFS? Why not FAT? Now let us understand some of the features. Okay. So as I told you, like the first feature we have seen. So even let's see how to format a partition. Okay. Maybe you already know like how we format that data. So whatever the practical which I'm showing, don't try in your personal machine. You know, if you want, you can do everything in virtual machine, no issue. But the same thing, if you do on a personal computer, then it is going to erase all your personal data. So don't try this in your personal partition. So you can right click on partition, and here we have a option format. You can click this, and here it is going to ask you whenever you want to format, so here it will ask you like you want to format with FAT, REFS, or NTFS. And the default option which is selected here, NTFS. Okay. So if you don't select anything, means if you just click format and if you say start, so by default it is going to format with NTFS. This is the default option. But instead of NTFS, you can format with FAT. You can also format with REFS. Okay. Now, instead of that, if I go to my personal machine, and here I have multiple partitions, and here also, like if I go and if I try to format, so for me it is showing only one particular option. It's not showing NTFS, it's not showing FAT, REFS. So maximum size supported by FAT, how much? It is going to support maximum of 32 GB. But right now you can see the size of this partition is, what is the size? The partition size is almost like 118 GB. So 118, it is not going to support by FAT32. How you can format? Okay. Even so, as a see, REFS available only on the server operating system. REFS we don't have in our personal operating system. Okay. In our Windows client, you never have REFS. So REFS introduced only on the server operating system. So that's why. So here it's showing only NTFS. Okay. If the size is below 32, then you can have even FAT. Okay. So right now here you see the size of this partition, how much? 10 GB. So 10 GB partition, you can format by FAT, you can format by REFS, you can also format by NTFS. That is the difference. Okay. Now let us understand how we can format. So we click and format, and I'm going to select FAT here, so that we'll try to see some differences. So here is saying like formatting erase all the data. Okay, no problem. I don't have any data there. This is formatted. Okay. So let's say one of the partition I formatted by FAT. To see which file system I'm using, go the properties, and here it show you the file system is FAT32. The same thing if I want to know there is another partition formatted by FAT NTFS. So here it show you this is formatted by NTFS. Okay. So one of the partition I'm running here FAT, and one of the partition I'm running NTFS. Okay. So what is the actual difference between like FAT and NTFS? So when you look at to this partition, directly it will not show you this is FAT or this is NTFS. Okay. But there will be many differences. So let's try to understand what is the difference between FAT and NTFS. So I'm going to show you one file here regarding file system. So file system is nothing but like the process that enables you to create, delete, and store the information in a hard disk. And we have some categories in file system, like we have FAT16, FAT32, we have NTFS. Okay. So FAT stands for file allocation table, whereas NTFS stands for a new technology file system. So NTFS, like why actually we prefer NTFS, why not FAT32? Why? Because NTFS give you a lot of features where FAT doesn't give you this feature. So NTFS is one of the file systems that enable you to protect the data, or you can say grant permission like read, write, modify, full control to users, group, etc. Okay. So why actually use NTFS? Why? Because NTFS is going to give you the features. So the first feature, we have security. We also have compression. We have, NTFS, it also supports encryption. NTFS is also support like quota. NTFS, it also supports shadow copy, backup. So because of these reasons, we actually use NTFS, where FAT doesn't support each and every option. Okay. So first, let's talk about the security here. Okay. Security means, last time, if you remember, we talk about, we discussed about some kind of share folder, sharing data. Okay. So we have a network. On the top of network, on the servers, let's say I store some information, and if you want to access that information over the network, you have to share that. Okay. So this is my server. I have a partition here, D. On the top of D partition, let's say I store some information. Maybe I have some project. So this folder, I'll be storing some data, and for me, the data is important. Okay. I want this data available for only the people who are working in a project. Okay. So all the time you need to think about the security here. Let's say in this project folder, there are 20 files are available, and each and every file for me is important. Okay. So what I'm going to do as an administrator, first of all, whenever if I want to protect, if I want to give permission to this particular share, first I have to see whether this partition is formatted by FAT or NTFS. If this is formatted by FAT, now FAT doesn't give you security level security. Okay. So what we can do now, if a partition is formatted by NTFS, now NTFS give you one feature that is called a security. You can grant permission to the user so that each and every file in that particular project folder you can able to protect. Okay. So NTFS give you file level security, whereas FAT only supports share level security. Okay. So now what I can do now, maybe let's say in a company we have some user like sales one, and this user, let's say I want to give a read permission. Okay. So what will happen if you give a read permission? So if sales one login and he go run and he write the name of the server, maybe like DC1, and the name of the share folder is a project. Okay. So when he press enter, suppose if you have a read permission, now all these 20 files will be displayed on his computer. Why? Because he has read permission. Read means he has access permission. He can open any of the file. He can able to, he can read each and every file from that particular share. Okay. But this user doesn't have permission to delete, to modify, to change anything, to add any file. So this permission we call as read permission. Okay. Instead of read, we can also have a permission here. Second user like sales2, I'll be giving read and write permission. If you give a permission like write means the user has permission like he can not only access. Okay. So this time like we have user sales2. If sales2 login, so he can access as well as he can open one of the files and he can also edit. He has permission, he can change a file, but he cannot delete. He cannot add a file. He can only edit a file, whatever given by administrator. That is called a read and write permission. One of the person, if you give a permission like we have a user sales3, and one of the permission we have deny. Okay. So deny is one of the permission where wantedly I'm saying, so I want this information accessed by hundreds of users, but I don't want some user from marketing. I don't want some user from IT. I don't want a user from like HR. Okay. So what I can do, so for those people, I'll be giving a deny permission. Okay. So whatever users which I'm adding, only those people have access permission. By default, we can say the rest of the people we have deny permission. So when sales3 login here, so what the user will do? So he writes server name, share folder name. When he press enter, here only the computer say, boss, you don't have access permission. You cannot able to access. One of the permission we have sales4. If you give a sales4 like we can have modify, and one of the user we can also have sales5 full control permission. These two permissions are very dangerous. So before you assign modify and full control, you need to think a lot of time. Okay. If I give a full modify permission, now the user has permission. He can read, he can write, he can he can access, he can change, even he can also delete. He can do many things. Whereas if somebody is having full control permission, full control by the name itself, he can have all the controlling on that folder. Okay. And controlling means not only he can access, not only he can read and write, not only he can delete, even he can control in the sense. Okay. So as an administrator, let's say I give a permission to modify to Salesforce. So what's the difference between like modify and full control? Modify user, he can log in, he can access, he can do anything, but that user, he cannot give permission to other people. He cannot able to manage that share folder over the network. But if somebody you give full control, now not only he can read, write, not only he delete, even he can also give permission to other user. That is the meaning of controlling. Control means now he has complete control of that folder. Okay. So all the time as an administrator, like maybe if you have a very big management, so what I'll do, I'll be giving some delegation to users so that, those people, they can able to manage that particular share. So those people, maybe they can add some people, they can remove some people. Okay. Maybe he is the HR of that department, and that HR person I'll be giving some permission. He can add some people, he can remove, so that he can able to manage that particular data. Okay. So apart from this, we also have some kind of special permission, like I want to give only delete permission. I want to give only making a folder, subfolder. Even you can also assign some special level permission. How we give it? Now, to give a permission, first of all, we need to see whether the partition is formatted by NTFS or not. Okay. So the last time we already created some share folder here, like we created MCSE, VMware, some of the shares we already created. And if you want to know like how many shares right now exist, you can use even command. We have a simple command like net share. Okay. So by using this command, I come to know in my server, I have multiple shares here. Okay. Even where the share folder exists, you also have the location. Okay. So I can go and when I go to properties, here you can see one of the tab is available, security. So this tab available only when the partition is formatted by NTFS. In fact, you cannot see this option. Okay, why? Because we also have FAT32 here. So if I try to store some data, and if I go to the properties of this folder, so here I can see multiple options, but I don't see a security tag here. The security is going to support only by NTFS. NTFS is the only file system that is going to support a security option. So I just go there. With the help of security, you can grant permission. So I can go to properties of share folder. And here you can see, is there, first of all, it's a share folder. And if you remember, like when I share, in that time, I have given full control to everyone. The meaning of everyone means now the data is going to access all the company people. Whatever account which I created on my server, it may be like one account, maybe for my sales people, marketing people, whatever account I created. So for every person in company, they have access permission. Everyone, that is the meaning. But you know, all the time I'm not sharing the data with everyone. Sometimes I want to share some specific people. I want to share the data with only for marketing people, IT people. So how we can do that? If you are going to share data with a specific people, so remove this everyone. Okay. Now that information will not be accessed all the people. So by default, admin is going to access. Apart from admin to whom you want the user access, so that permission will be given with the help of, you can say add, and here you can give a user. Okay. So last time, if you remember, we already given some, we already created some accounts here. So to open AD, we have a command like dsa.msc. It's open AD. And here, some of the accounts we already created, like we have Jack, sales 1, sales 2, sales 2. So we already created. Okay. So if whenever you want to create account, so graphically, last time I have shown you the method, you just right click new user, give name, password, finish. But instead of giving, instead of graphically create, you can also create by command. Okay. So I'm going to show you very simple command today. So we have a command to create account, net user, what the name you want. Let's say I want to create account by the name sales2. Then what password you want, you put a password, then /add. So we have very simple command. Net user is a command. Now, which account you want to create? You have to use name of a user, then password, then /add. So when you press enter, the machine says the command completed successfully. So when you open Active Directory, if you refresh, so here one account created by the name sales2. Like this, you can create some more accounts so that we can able to see practical for today's topic. So net user, username, sales3. Net user, username, sales4. So just I'm adding one number here. Now there is another command. Instead of showing password, you can even hide password. For that, what you can do? Net user, name of the user, like suppose HR1, and I don't want to show password here. So what I can do? Shift +8, that is #3, or you can say star, then /add. But here you have to give a password 2 times. So whatever password I'm giving is not displaying. Okay. So this password only known by me. So I'm the person who is creating account. So either you use first command, second command, both are same. Only the difference is first command, the password is highlighted. On the second command, the password is not highlighted. Okay. So whatever you want, you can use it. HR2, then HR3, HR4, HR5. Now make multiple accounts, depends on you. So I created some of the accounts here. I just refresh. So here you see I created some account by HR, some sales, all accounts are available. Okay. So now the machine is asking, now to whom you want to give a permission? You want to give a permission to sales people, marketing people, IT people, HR people. Now depends. Okay. So in my case, I'll be giving permission to sales. If you don't know any name, so Microsoft has given a helpline here. You can go advanced and you can say find now. So you have a complete list. The name of the list we call access control list, or you can say ACL. So here you can see all information of your domain user, all account which you created on Active Directory, all account information will be available here. Okay. So with the help of this, we can search. Let's say I want to give permission to HR1, I'll select. I want to give permission to HR2, I'll select. I'll say okay. Now, so what's the permission you want to give to HR1? So here you see we have a permission like full control, modify, read and execute, list all the content, read. Even if I go down, there is a permission like write. Even we also have some special level permission. Okay. So one of the user I'll be giving, you can see, just I'm giving a read permission to HR1. I'll go and I'll give another user HR2. Check name. Yes, HR2 is there. So HR2 I'll be giving write permission. Similarly, I'll add another user. I'm going to write HR3. So HR3 I'll be giving, according to my scenario, I'll be giving deny permission. HR4 I'll be giving modify permission. HR5 I can give a full control permission. So like this, one by one you add and give permission. Apply. Okay. Okay. Now to see result, you have to go any client and log in one by one and check whether that user is having read, that user having a write permission, modify. Okay. So you can give that permission. So we need to see that. So that is called a permission. So the next here, normally we have a question, you know, do you think in company we have only 4 or 5 users? So for me, it is not possible like to give a permission to one by one user. Instead of giving permission to each and every account in a company, what we can do now, we'll take a help of group. So group also plays very, very important role, not only in our day-to-day life, even in company also, there is nothing without group. Okay. So group, first of all, let's see a small definition here, and we'll try to understand what are the features of group. So group is an object of AD, and group is also called a collection of user accounts. Group is nothing but like something which is collection. In group, we can add somebody. So when you create a group, always you remember, you have to remember like group we use for 2 reasons. The first reason to create a group, it is using for assigning permission, and it's also used for sending a message for multiple users at a time. That means I create a group. In that group, I'll be adding some user. Let's say I'll be adding 200 users. Okay. So whenever I create a group in my server, so for me, there will be 2 reasons for that. So either I'll be using this group to give permission or maybe to send email purpose. Okay. Vice versa is not possible. I cannot use a group for email as well as for the, permission. So either permission or either it may be email. Okay. So if you create a group for permission, then you have to go with the option here, security. And if you're creating a group for email purpose, that is your email exchange, then you have to select the option distribution. Okay. That means if you are using group for sharing, okay, I have my server And here, let's say I share something. And if you want to protect, if you want to give permission to this particular share, now, if I'm creating a group, if I'm giving permission to group, so that group should be created by selecting option security. And it is not only for like data, even like in a network, I have a printer and I want this printer accessed by multiple people. So for me, it is not possible like to add one by one, all the user in printer. So I'll simply create a group, add the user, then I'll give permission to that group. So in that situation also, like whenever you talk about permission, the group will be security. But instead of that, if you want email, normally if I want to send email, so the computer say like to whom you want to send email, we click compose, we click new email. So the computer will like to whom. So here you have all ID, XYZ at the rate, the name of your domain, maybe Gmail, Hotmail, maybe your company. So like this, you can have multiple email IDs. Okay. So how many email ID you can write? Okay. So it's not possible like you are writing 100, 200 email ID. So writing 100, 200 email ID is not a joke. Okay. So instead of sending email to all these hundreds of people one by one direct, now simply what I can do, in your network, you may have your Exchange server. On the Exchange server, we also create a group. So instead of like we in a company, we have sales people, marketing people, IT people. For every department, I can create some special groups. So those group, I add the people. Then instead of sending email to one by one, so just send email to the group. Everybody can receive it. Okay. And apart from that, we also have something called group scope. This is very, very, important even for understanding. Okay, we have something called like domain local, global, as well as universal. How to understand this? So last time, like even we talk about some introduction to tree, forest. Okay. So let's say in a company, I have all these domains. Maybe in a company, I have 100 domains, or maybe I have 50 domains. Maybe I have maybe like 20 branches. Okay, domain is nothing but all these are the branches. Okay, so some branches I have in India, some branches I have in UK, some branches I have in maybe Dubai. So now, if you have multiple domain, maybe like if you combine one or more domain, the collection of domain we call as tree. Maybe you can say this is tree, or I can say like this is also one tree. This is again one tree. This is also one tree. Okay. So here, suppose if I go with if I create a group, and at the time of creating a group, if I'm selecting domain local, what is this option? So I create a group in this domain. Let's say in a domain you have 200 employees. So on the top of this domain means Hyderabad, if I create a group by the name HR, so this group maybe you use for permission, maybe for email. So when you create a group, you have to decide like to whom you will going to add, which account you are going to add to this group. Okay. So if you select domain local, you cannot add a user from multiple domains. So I am going to add only the user, the user which is available for my company. That is called domain local. Instead of domain local, if I'm going to select like global, global is a group where you can add multiple domain users from that particular tree. Okay. Suppose if I say like this is my complete tree, so either I can add a user from this domain, from this domain, from this domain, from this domain. I can add anybody from this particular tree. If you select a universal, that means in a forest, I can add a user from any tree. So either maybe from this tree, from this tree, or this tree. From any trees, I can able to add a user to that particular group. So let's see how to make group. So practically it's very simple. To create a group, you have to open again AD, Active Directory. On the top of Active Directory, you have to right click on a user tab. We have an option same, user, new. So last time we selected the option like user. This is for creating account for the employee. But already account I created, I want to give some permission. Okay. So here, one of the option is available. So right click, new. Here the option is there. The group. So here you see, it's asking like, what do you want? So here you have to use name, the type, group scope, what kind of categories you want. So I'll be creating group for sales, maybe for reach. And if I go with the option like distribution, that means when I add the user, so those users I can able to send email, and whatever the people available in group, each and every person can able to receive. But right now we don't have any Exchange server right now in my network, so we have to go with the option here, security. So here in group scope, either you can select global, universal, or domain local, whatever you want, you can select. Depends on the condition. Okay, I'll be creating another group. The next group I'll create by HR deny. Okay. Okay. The two groups are created. So once you create group, so I cannot say like automatic user will be added. No, there is nothing like automatic. So whatever permission I'll be giving to HR, whatever permission I'll be giving to sales group, so to whom you want that permission will be given. To whom you want the permission will be applied. Okay. So for that, what we need to do, you have to add the user. Okay. So how we can add? So either you can add the user by selecting direct. You can select all the user at a time, right click, and you can say add to group. Okay. In which group you want to add? I want to add a user to a group. That the name of the group starting from sales. The name of the group is sales read. This is the first method. Or else you can right click one by one also you can add it, but take some time for adding one by one. So instead of that, what I can do now, I can go the properties of group, and here we have a tab members. From members also you can able to add. So which group you want to add? I want to add all HR users. So I'll be adding all HR, HR1, HR2, HR3, HR4. Okay. Even if you want one also, you can add it. HR group. So that will be added. Okay. The last thing about the group is, now let's see how to assign a permission. Okay. So just now what I have done, I have given a permission one by one all the HR user. Okay. But right now, for me, it's not possible all the time to have all hundreds of people direct. So here, first I'll remove this. Edit. Add. So now I'll be giving permission to group. HR deny. I'll say check name. So what permission you want? So according to this group, I want deny permission. So I'll say deny. So what were the people which I added on HR? So nobody can able to access this VMware share. Add. There is another group which I created, sales. And for the sales, I'll be giving a read permission. So what I want whatever the people available in red sales group. So these people I want, they can only access. I don't want they delete. I don't want they modify. I don't want they control. I just want they can only access. You can say apply. Okay. Okay. But remember, like this account I already created, I created. Okay. So if I try to log in, again the computer say hi, then it takes time. Okay. Instead of that, what I can do, to this group, I'll be adding one person, which is already I log in. On HR, I'll be adding a user to whom we are going to add. So we'll be adding Jaber. So now that permission not only apply to HR, it also apply to Jaber. That is a deny permission. Similarly for sales, I'll be adding a Stan here. So Stan. So let's log in here. So let's first of all log in as Jaber. So Jaber is the employee. He tried to log into one of the machine in network. So when he log in, now he want to access that data which I shared. But remember, he need to have a permission. Now Jabir Ali login. So how he can access the data? So this user, he go run and simply he write the name of the server GC1 and he press enter. So whatever the data which is available on server, it is going to show all. Okay. So this person, he want to access the VMware. We actually protected only VMware. Like this, we can protect Azure, everything. We need to protect from server. So when this user want to access VMware, now the computer say one error. Why? Because the computer saying like you don't have permission to access. Why? Because wantedly I have not given permission to Jabir, but this Jabir, it is actually a part of a group, and that group we have given deny permission. On other hand, instead of Jabir, let's say is some other employee login. So this person was having roaming profile. I power on another machine. Now let's see like the person to whom you give, the group to whom you give read permission. So one of the user in that group is Sam. So we log in as Sam and let us see whether he can access or not. Password. So Sam login. So he go run and he write the name of the server is DC1, and he can see on the server there are a lot of shares are available, and some of the things he want to access. Okay. So like we have MCSE data, we also have net login, we have UK, USA. Okay. Like this, one of the share we have VMware. So when he try to open, so the computer is not giving any error. So directly the user is going to access. Okay. So VMware, there is nothing. So I try to keep some data. See, VMware is the share, but that share doesn't have any file. So let us try to keep some files. Okay, I'll keep this one only. Copy. So as admin, like I maintain all this data, and somebody I give read permission. So what the user will do, now when Sam log in, he can access and all the files are available here. So what the user he can do, now this user has only read permission. He can open one of the files and he can see all the information. Suppose he try to modify, he's changing something, he changed. Okay. And save. So when he try to save whatever the changes he made, so here the computer will automatically give error. Okay, access denied. You cannot do that. So this is not. So he cannot able to modify. But let's say can he delete or not? So when he right click and when he try to say delete, so even he cannot able to delete. The computer will say, no, you cannot delete that. Okay. So you need permission to perform this action. So if I say even try again, you cannot delete. Okay. So when you give a read permission, the user only access the data. He cannot able to read it. Okay. So these are the permission which will be given actually to the user group, and in that group, whatever the people are available, now those people they can able to use these permissions. Okay. The next feature of NTFS. NTFS not only provide the security, NTFS also have disk compression. Okay. So compression is very simple. Maybe you have, compress means like, especially we use compression to save a space on the hard disk. Okay. So if you have a lot of data, let's say this is my personal machine, and I want to compress. Sometime maybe in my hard disk I don't have space, and I want to compress. So what I can do, I can also compress the data. Compress, it will reduce the space of hard disk. So what we are going to compress? Let me see. Okay. So there is Exchange PPTs. So if I go property, the total size of these PPTs is 30 MB. Now, if you compress, and how to compress it? So, and how to differentiate whether it's a compress or normal. If you compress, automatically the color change. And here, to compress, you have to go properties, and you have to go advanced. And here, one option is there, compress content to save this space. When you say apply, so it will ask you like you want to compress only Exchange PPT folder, or you want to compress even subfolder that you have in Exchange PPT. Okay, I want to apply everything. So once you compress, it will take time based on the size of that particular folder. Okay. So right now you can see some of the things it compress, and when it compress, automatically the color, you have a symbol here. So previously we used to have a green, a blue color. So instead of blue, you have some blue dots here. You see this? There is a blue dot. You can also encrypt. Encrypt you can do if you want to protect that information from everyone. To encrypt, again you can do the same. Just the last option is encrypt here. So when you encrypt, now this information will not be accessed by anybody. Even anybody log on to this computer, now nobody can able to access this file Who can access? Only the person who created encryption. And here, encrypt, automatically you have some changes here. Okay, but don't encrypt any data. You know, you may have even a lot of drawback here. So you can go properties, advanced, and don't encrypt anything. See, this is the default. But if you increase, if you compress, automatically on the top of files, you are getting some symbols. One of the feature of NTFS, we already discussed, we have something like disk quota. Disk quota is one of the feature. Yesterday, you know, the last session, we talk about home folder. When you give a drive, and to the drive, if you want to apply a limit, so that limit will be given with the help of disk quota feature. So you can see one more. So we have seen disk quota, like for home folder, we created a share folder. So on a C drive, I created share folder. On a share folder, you have to go properties. You can go properties, and we have a tab here, quota. And from the quota, you can give a disk quota limit. How much you want user, 10 GB, 20 GB, 30 GB, that is depends on the requirement. Similarly, one of the feature of NTFS is we have shadow copy. Okay. So shadow copy backup, maybe coming classes will see in detail. Why? Because we have separate topic for that. Okay. So in today's session, we actually discuss about the features of NTFS. We have seen what is the difference between FAS and NTFS. We talk about what is file system, how to format the partition, and even we also discuss some of the features like how NTFS provides the security, as well as if you want to give permission to one by one, then instead of giving permission to one by one user, we can also take the help of group. Regarding group, we talk about we have two categories in group. One is for email purpose, one is for permission purpose, and we also discuss about domain group. Okay, so today we'll stop here. So if you have any question, you can ask me.